Hey guys, this is Mayor from MMOs.com. Do a quick week news recap of all major MMO news and announcements the week ending November 18th, 2019. And yes, it's been a while. My brother and myself were away for a little over a month overseas, which made making these videos a bit difficult. We were on hiatus for a month or so. But I'm back, and we're also doing the podcast tomorrow as well. So definitely tune in tomorrow at 3:30 p.m. PST on twitch.tv/MMOs.com. Anyway, this episode number 221 of the recap, and the first of news this week is a big one, and it's from Grinding Gear Games regarding Path of Exile. So back at ExileCon, which was just this last weekend, some big news was announced. Quite a few announcements actually. So Path of Exile 2 was announced, and while it's kind of like a new game, but not entirely. So Path of Exile 2 introduces a 7 new act storyline, but both the old and new storylines lead to the same shared Atlas endgame that includes all the content of the previous game that was added in the last 6 years, and also adds a new skill system, ascendancy classes, engine improvements, and more. And nowhere on when this one is coming out just yet. Now the big Path of Exile announcement was Path of Exile Mobile, which promises a complete Path of Exile experience without pay to win on mobile devices. And when Grinding Gear Games says there won't be any pay to win, I actually believe it, because they've done a great job with the PC version of the game. And lastly, they announced a new league, the Metamorph League for Path of Exile, and a new expansion titled Conquerors of the Atlas, which is launching on December 13th for the PC and a week later or so on consoles. The new expansion adds 5 new endgame bosses, a new powerful class of support gems, new items, a rework of bows, the new Atlas mechanics, and much more. So yeah, there's a lot to look forward to with Path of Exile. Next up, Kingdom Under Fire 2 officially launched this last week. Yes, it's actually playable now in the West, and it comes as a bit of a surprise. I'm actually a little bit skeptical about this one. First of all, it's a buy-to-play game, which is normally fine, but the game was originally designed to be a free-to-play game, and the game has a bit of an interesting history. So the game was announced originally in Asia back in 2008 in South Korea, but then they had a beta test in Korea in 2011. And back in 2017, they released a roadmap for the game's release in Asia, Russia, and the West, and they missed pretty much all of their deadlines. And then out of the blue, earlier this year, Gameforge's like, yeah, we're launching Kingdom Under Fire 2 in the West in the next few months, and yeah, they did do it. It's here. Kingdom Under Fire 2 has been in development for over 10 years now, and is already one of the most expensive MMOs ever developed, with a development budget, according to the company, at over $75 million over these years. Anyway, despite the game's checkered development history, it's definitely unique. It mixes traditional MMORPG elements with RTS elements. I just wish there was a free trial for this one, because as is, the only way to try the game is with the $29.99 bundle on the game's official website. But hey, it's at least finally out now. I'm just always skeptical when a game kind of launches out of the blue after being announced over 10 years ago, and it kind of missed all its development deadlines in South Korea and whatnot. And I'm not even sure if the game exists in South Korea as is, so it's kind of in a weird place, but it's playable now. I just wish it had some kind of free trial to check the game out. Up next, Kritika Online officially relaunched this last week as Kritika REBOOT. Remember Kritika? It was the anime action RPG that in mass released in the West back in 2017 that shut down in April of this year. Well, it's back now, and it's being published by its Korean developer, Allem, and is available globally in English through Steam. Some key changes with this new version is essentially the removal of the game's stamina system, which is a good change, and the introduction of some new content. The game had a pretty strong launch on Steam, peaking at over 3,000 players this last weekend, but we'll see if they can maintain those numbers. If you never played this one, it's instance dungeon, precision hub style action MMORPG, similar to games like Dragon Nest, DFO, and Vindictus. All those linear progression style, stage-based games. Next up, the classic MMORPG Age of Camelot, which officially launched way back in 2001, added a free-to-play option called Endless Conquest, which allows anybody to play the game for free up to the game's max level cap, which is nice. They are, however, limited to 5 playable classes and 3 playable races per realm, which sounds like a lot, but it's actually only a third of the game's playable classes and about a half of the game's playable races. Unfortunately, I don't think making this game free-to-play is going to bring too much new blood to the game, only because Age of Camelot is actually, it didn't age too well. The game actually looks great visually, but the UI is actually really bad and really clunky. I mean, I grew up playing this game as one of my first MMORPGs, and I actually re-downloaded it and played it when this free-to-play version came out, and it's a tough game to get into today. But hey, if you're curious about the game for some nostalgia, or just want to try something new, Age of Camelot is basically free-to-play now. Okay, so besides Path of Exile making a bunch of huge announcements this week, Pearl Abyss also has some big news. It was a follow-up to the new game announcements they made about 2 weeks ago, but it's still super interesting. They released trailers for the new games Plan 8, Crimson Desert, Doke V, and Shadow Arena. So Pearl Abyss definitely hasn't been sleeping at the wheel all this time. And besides updating Black Desert Online, they've been actively working on 4 new games. And these games were announced 2 weeks ago, but we finally have new trailers for all of them, some revealed trailers. So Plan 8 is an open-world MMO shooter. Doke V is an upcoming open-world MMO that looks a bit like a social hub. And Crimson Desert is an upcoming MMORPG that looks a lot like Black Desert. And it's launching for PC and consoles in 2020. Shadow Arena is an upcoming fantasy arena fighter that's set to launch into closed beta on November 21st and will officially launch in the first half of 2020. So Pearl Abyss has a lot on their plate, and it's awesome to see them working on so many games at once. I'm most curious about Crimson Desert, but I'm also kind of curious about Plan 8, an open world MMO shooter. And now, speaking of Pearl Abyss announced this last week that the free-to-play Black Desert mobile game will be launching in English worldwide on iOS and Android on December 11th, 2019. We already knew this was going to launch sometime in 2019, but we finally have a release date for the game, and that's December 11th, 2019. It already soft launched in a few countries and has been available in Korea for some time already. More importantly, though, even if you don't want to play Black Desert Mobile, anyone who pre-registers for the mobile game's release will get a free copy of Black Desert on the PC or console. So if you want a free copy of Black Desert Online for the PC or console and have no interest in the mobile game, you can still pre-register and get it, which is pretty awesome. But then again, they have given away Black Desert Online to pretty much anybody who wanted it in the past, so it's not too hard to get the game for free nowadays. Now, I have played the Korean mobile version of Black Desert Online, and it's visually gorgeous. The character creator is pretty awesome as well, but it does have those pesky autoplay elements that you've seen in a lot of other Korean MMORPGs. Next up, Astellia Online launched a new patch this week, which added a new Estelle and 3 new legendary dungeons. Astellia is a buy-to-play fantasy MMORPG that's actually pretty fun. I just wish it was free-to-play or had some kind of free trial. Oh, and they also released a new content roadmap outlining what players can expect for the game for the rest of 2019 and into 2020. Expect a raised level cap later in 2020 and tons of new content. I like when developers release these content roadmaps to give players a good idea of what to expect in the coming months. Up next, a small update for MapleStory. The game is launching the Glorious Strengthened Alliances update on November 20th, which will introduce new story content to the game, as well as some in-game events. More importantly, though, the new Anima Thief class is launching on December 4th. Another big change coming to MapleStory is that they actually are reducing the amount of XP required from level 220 to 234 by 25%. So leveling will definitely get easier in this level range. And there's also some new balance changes coming to the game and new 5th job skills coming as well. As with any major update lately, there's also a Terror Burning event going on, which means every time a player levels up, instead of leveling up once, they level up 3 times up until level 200, which makes the level 1 to 200 experience much faster. And now, while MapleStory is an oldie, guys, it's still doing really well. It's one of Nexon's most popular games. In fact, Nexon reported record high revenues for MapleStory last quarter. A 16-year-old game is making more money now than ever for Nexon, mostly due to its popularity in South Korea, though. Next up, Gravity Interactive announced Ragnarok Transcendence this week, which is a new version of Ragnarok Online. It's same as Ragnarok Online, but with revamped systems. There's a big changes to the pet evolution system, the homunculus renewal update, some UI changes, new anti-cheat systems, vending system changes, and some other changes. It's nowhere close to a new game, though. If you're looking forward to playing Ragnarok Online again, it's a good chance to start fresh on some official servers. Nowhere when it's actually launching, though, and some have compared it to the Zero update for Iroh. But apparently Gravity said it's not quite the same, and there's some special changes made for the Western audience, but we'll see. Up next, Granado Espada is coming to mobile. Yes, a game you probably never heard of is launching a mobile version, and it's being developed by Hanbitsoft, a relatively small, unknown South Korean game studio, and IMC Games, the company behind Tree of Savior. The mobile version of Granado Espada is set to launch sometime in 2020. No word on a global release, though, just yet. If you never played the PC version, honestly, I say check it out. It's some of the best music I've heard in any MMO, probably because the music is made by the same folks who did the BGMs for Ragnarok Online and Tree of Savior. Definitely an oddball of a PC game, so if you never played it, probably check out the PC version. Next up, some big news from Nexon. KartRider Drift is officially launching on Xbox and PC in the near future, with a closed beta test scheduled for December 5th. KartRider isn't a new game, though. It has been around for about 15 years now, and has been mostly popular in South Korea. It was actually available in the West briefly before Nexon shut it down years ago, but it's coming back as KartRider Drift. It's basically a free-to-play version of Mario Kart, except a bit more competitive. I actually remember really enjoying this game back when Nexon had it in English, so I'm definitely looking forward to playing it. It'll be available on Xbox, Steam, and Nexon's own launcher sometime in early 2020, most likely, but a closed beta is scheduled for December 5th. Up next, Exile Games announced a cross-platform PC and mobile MMORPG titled Project Arena. The fact that it's cross-play compatible with PC makes me a bit interested. Visually, the game looks a lot like MapleStory 2, which isn't a bad thing, as MapleStory 2 had a lot of good ideas. I'm not sure when this one is coming out yet, but the developer did say they want to release a global English version in the future. Since it was just teased recently, don't expect it to be launching anytime soon, though, but visually it looks okay. Next and last bit of news this week is from Asobimo, the Japanese mobile game developer known for making non-autoplay mobile MMORPGs. And the news is that they announced a new mobile MMORPG titled Fantasy Earth Genesis for the English market. And if that sounds familiar, it's because it's the sequel to Fantasy Earth Zero, a large-scale PvP MMO that was available on the PC some time ago. The game focuses on massive 50 vs 50 PvP battles and is being co-developed by Square Enix as well. Unfortunately, there aren't any gameplay videos just yet, but I do have a lot of respect for Asobimo, as this company makes mobile MMORPGs that aren't autoplay. No word on any kind of release date just yet, but pre-registrations are open for the game. Anyway, guys, that's it for the news this week. I'll see you guys tomorrow for the podcast. Later, guys.